My name is David Eccles. In today's show, we will be talking about the book The Glass Castle by Jeanette Wallace. Throughout this podcast, we will discuss the major theme of the book and explore it in depth. Well, what is the major theme, you might ask? That is a very good question. The major theme is the central idea, often reoccurring throughout the story. It usually teaches a lesson or a moral. Now that we know what a major theme is, we can discuss this book's meaning and message. First, just a little summary of what this book is about. The Glass Castle is a memoir autobiography. It talks about the family's life through Jeanette's eyes. The book is about her and her siblings' experiences throughout their life, being raised in poverty by two very dysfunctional parents. The story takes place in the United States, starting around the late 1950s, and finds the family getting into situations forcing them to move across the country. This results in them living in many cities and states in their childhood. The major theme that we are about to explore is about forgiveness. This is because of their parents' actions and experiences that put Jeanette and her siblings through. She has to deal with the emotions of her dad always making promises about things he cannot keep. An example of his broken promises is when he says, "We will be staying here for a while," only to end up with him making the family move soon after to another town. Another time he breaks his promise is when he said Jeanette could have anything she wanted for her birthday, and she asked for him to stop drinking. Although he stopped for a while, he started up again. During the story, it is seen that Jeanette is the only one that believes he will stop drinking. Her hopes are crushed when her father starts drinking again, breaking one of his promises yet again. This is just one act of many of her father's lies, along with him drinking, stealing, and running from his problems. Her mother, on the other hand, was a person who would think about herself before her children. She was very careless and free-willing to let her kids do anything. She would often be doing her artwork instead of caring for her kids. An example of this is when she was painting, letting her daughter Jeanette cook hot dogs on the stove by herself when she was 3, resulting in her burning her skin and needing to go to the hospital. This shows her carelessness and how she is too self-absorbed in her own life. Another example of this is her family being poor all these years, but her still owning property in Texas worth over $1 million. This was an emotional burden for Jeanette throughout her life because she had to deal with the constant neglect and lies over the years. This was hard on her because she was not raised properly. She was not taught all of the right values and morals in life, getting bad examples from her parents for they neglected her, lied to her, and were too self-absorbed in their own life and problems. This would be hard for anyone to live through. Imagine not having your parents there to guide you or give you advice when needed. Think of how you would feel if they always told you lies and broke their promises, or were too absorbed in their own life to pay attention to yours. In result, Jeanette has a choice to make between forgiving her parents for everything they put her through or to forever resent them. She ends up finding the heart to forgive her parents despite how they raised her, because although they may not have been the best parents or examples, they still loved her and took care of her all those years. Although this is a major theme, some people's thoughts are that Jeanette should not have forgiven her parents. Think about it this way. If you were in Jeanette's shoes, what would you do? Knowing what has happened in the story and everything she has gone through, personally, I would forgive them. I forgive them because they always took care of Jeanette. Even though they were bad influences and made poor decisions, they loved her throughout her whole life and always gave her a home. They stuck together as a family through thick and thin, and they never gave up on their kids. Jeanette and her siblings went through a lot in their life and were faced with a tough decision of whether to forgive them or not. I believe she made the right choice in forgiving them because they always gave her a home and they never gave up on their children. This action of forgiveness shows that even the worst people deserve forgiveness and only a good person can give it. Despite their poor ways and leaving their kids to be raised on their own, they were given forgiveness and accepted back into their child's heart, even if they didn't deserve it. The forgiveness their children gave them shows that even though they were not taught proper morals and values in their life, they acquired them along the way, and this act of accepting them again really shows how even without their parents' guidance, they turned into great people. I hope you learned something today and enjoyed listening to this podcast written and narrated by David Eccles. Thank you for listening and have a great day.